The cell smelled like iron, sweat, and forgotten time. Damon Ricks had spent the last 16 years watching the paint peel off the concrete walls of Kentucky State Penitentiary. The window in his cell no larger than a showbox slat in a sliver of sun on lucky days, on most. All it offered was a view of another wall. He was 48 now. The world outside had changed. Inside, time had become meaningless. But one fact remained rooted in his mind like rusted metal. He had killed a man, not in defense. Not by mistake. He killed him out of rage. That single moment had cost him everything: his wife Lisa, his 2 kids, his freedom. And though the rage that once burned in him had dulled into embers, something darker had started to grow in its place. Something that woke up the day he got the letter. It was smuggled in, folded into a shipment of books from a volunteer literacy group. In barely legible handwriting, it said, "She's married again. They live in Lexington now. The kids don't even have your name anymore." Damon read the words 10 times. His hands trembled. The page soaked up his sweat. That night, he didn't sleep. He stared at the ceiling, counting every breath until dawn. They'd taken his name from his kids. That meant more than divorce. That meant erasure. Lisa had moved on. That he could understand, maybe even accept. But the kids, his blood, his legacy, no, that he couldn't let go. The opportunity came during a summer transfer, 3 months later. A prison bus headed for Bowling Green overturned. After a tire blew out on the I-65, there were screams, sirens, fire. Damon crawled out of the smoke like a demon reborn, shackles clanging, and slipped through the chaos into the woods. They would think he burned alive in the wreck. He made sure of it, left behind a tooth he'd yanked loose the night before, tucked inside another inmate's shirt pocket. When the body count was done, they declared Damon Ricks dead, but he was very much alive. He walked for 2 days in silence, hitching rides at night with unsuspecting truckers too tired to care, trading stories for gas station coffee. "Name's Lee," he told them. "Just headed to Tennessee to see my boy before the Army ships him out." Nobody questioned it. Nobody looked twice. The man who had once beat another human to death with his bare hands now moved through the world like a shadow. He didn't wear orange anymore, just a Goodwill jacket and a baseball cap pulled low. When he reached Lexington, he didn't go straight to Lisa's house. That would be reckless. He needed to see what he was walking into. So he camped near an overpass for 2 nights, stealing Wi-Fi from a nearby motel, searching names on public records. Lisa Bennett. She'd taken her maiden name back until 3 years ago. Now she was Lisa Morales. Her husband, Jason Morales, an elementary school teacher. Damon almost laughed when he read that. A school teacher. That's who she replaced him with. They lived in a 2-story house in a suburb called Autumn Ridge. 2 kids, Damon's kids, now named Bennett Morales. He stared at their photos for hours, smiling faces in matching sweaters, birthday balloons, Halloween costumes. He didn't recognize them. They looked too clean, too distant, too happy. He closed the laptop and whispered to himself, "You don't know him. You don't know what he's done to them." The truth was, Jason Morales had done nothing, but Damon needed a reason, a justification, some twisted anchor to make sense of what he was about to do. That night, he stood across the street from the house. A motion sensor porch light flicked on. Through the window, he saw Lisa. Her hair was shorter now. She looked older, more tired, but she still had the same eyes, the same hands that once held him like he was worth saving. Jason came into view, handing her a dish towel, smiling. The kids Noah and Clara ran around the living room chasing a cat. Laughter echoed faintly through the glass. Damon stood there, still as stone. A car drove by, and he flinched, his fingers clenched into fists. This was his family, his blood. His place at that table had been stolen, replaced by some mild-mannered, soft-handed teacher with no idea who Damon Ricks really was. "They need to remember," he muttered. "They need to know who their father is." He stepped back into the darkness, heart pounding like a war drum. The next day, he visited an old contact. "Damn Damon," said Roy Twitch Caldwell, a small-time ex-con who now ran a body shop out in the county. "They said you was dead." "I am," Damon said. To them, anyway. Twitch looked around nervously. You shouldn't be here. You know they're gonna be looking for you soon. They think I burned. That won't last." Damon nodded. "I need a car. Something clean. And a gun? You think I came back for cookies?" Twitch hesitated, then finally nodded toward the back. "Take the Chevy. There's a .38 in the glove box." Damon looked him dead in the eyes. "Don't tell anyone you saw me." "I won't," Twitch said. "But Damon, this ain't the way, man. You already paid. Don't go starting over in hell." Damon didn't answer. He just got in the car and drove. That night, he parked down the block from Lisa's house. He watched from the shadows again, memorizing the routine: when the lights went out, when the cars came and left, when the kids went to bed. Every detail mattered. His hands didn't shake, not this time. He wasn't here to talk. He wasn't here to beg. He was here to reclaim what was his, or burn trying. The sun rose quiet and warm over Lexington, spilling golden light across the sleepy suburbs like a soft blanket. Inside the Morales house, the smell of scrambled eggs drifted from the kitchen. As Jason stood barefoot, humming along to a country song on the radio, Lisa poured coffee into 2 mugs, her eyes lingering on the morning news playing silently on the TV. It was routine. Jason cooked, Lisa watched the news, the kids argued about cereal. But that morning, something in Lisa's chest felt off, like a draft slipping through a locked door. She didn't know it yet, but Damon had watched the house until 3:17 a.m. She didn't see the dark Chevy parked 3 blocks down. She didn't hear the faint click of a car door locking just before sunrise. But her body felt it like prey sensing the breath of a predator. Across town, Damon sat in the cart which had given him, parked beside a closed hardware store. His eyes were bloodshot. He hadn't slept in nearly 3 days. A small notebook sat on the passenger seat, filled with sketches of the Morales house, school routes, times, names. He chewed on a pen cap, staring at a school bus map printed from the public district's website. Noah was 11. Clara was 8. They rode bus number 42 to Liberty Elementary, 10 blocks from Autumn Ridge. Damon traced the route with his finger. The kids got picked up at 7:38 a.m., drop off at 3:16 p.m. He folded the map carefully and placed it under the visor. He wasn't ready to make a move yet, but he would be soon. They'd see him. They'd know he didn't disappear. They'd remember their real father. Back at the house, Lisa tried to shake the unease in her chest. "Everything okay?" Jason asked, placing a plate in front of her. Lisa forced a smile. "Yeah, I don't know. Bad dream, maybe." Jason gave her a kiss on the forehead. "We'll go out this weekend. Just us. You need a break." She nodded and squeezed his hand, but her mind wasn't on the weekend. It was stuck on something else, something from long ago. 16 years ago, to be exact. When Damon first went to prison, Lisa had visited him twice. The first time, she brought the kids, both still in diapers. Damon had smiled through the glass like nothing had changed. He had asked about dinner, about music, about when she'd come back. The second time, he was different, cold. Angry. His eyes darted like a trapped animal's. He screamed at her for dressing the kids to clean and told her she was forgetting where they came from. That was the last time. Over the years, letters came and went, then stopped. Lisa changed her name, moved, rebuilt. She thought she was free, but the past always has long arms, and Damon's were reaching again. At 3:11 p.m., Damon sat 2 blocks from Liberty Elementary, sunglasses on, engine off. The school bell rang in the distance, a cascade of laughter and footsteps spilling out the doors. Then he saw them. Noah walked out first, taller than Damon expected, wearing a school hoodie and pushing a skateboard with his foot. Clara followed behind him, hair in pigtails, clutching a purple lunchbox. She looked just like Lisa used to at that age, same mouth, same fire in her eyes. They crossed the field to the bus stop, talking, laughing, unbothered, unaware. Damon didn't cry. He didn't smile. He just watched like a man staring at a life he barely remembered. The bus came. They got on. Damon didn't follow it this time. He didn't need to. He knew now. He could take. Then not today, but soon. Lisa stood at the kitchen sink later that evening. rinsing dishes when she saw something in the yard. It was gone before she could focus a movement by the fence, a shadow, maybe a trick of light. Still, she stepped outside, dish towel in hand, eyes scanning the twilight. "Hello," she called out. Silence. The wind rustled through the maple tree. The swing moved slightly, creaking. Jason stepped out behind her. "Babe, what are you doing?" Lisa shook her head. "Thought I saw something. Probably just the cat." Jason looked uneasy. "You sure?" She nodded. But her voice was small. "Yeah." They went back inside, locking the door. That night, Lisa pulled an old showbox from the closet. Inside were court documents, photographs, letters from a name she had erased from her life, Damon Ricks. She flipped through the papers, hands shaking slightly. Parole denied. Restraining order filed. Last known location, deceased. But she couldn't shake it. What if he wasn't dead? What if? Her phone buzzed, a text from Jason. "Come to bed. I'll keep you safe." She smiled sadly, turned off the light, and joined him. But sleep never came. 2 days later, Noah mentioned something at breakfast. "There was this guy across the street after school yesterday," he said casually. "Big dude. Just sitting in a car." Lisa dropped her spoon. "What kind of car?" she asked, trying to keep her tone calm. "Dark blue. Maybe black. Old. Kinda. Beat up." Jason looked up. "That's not weird around the school." Noah shrugged. "I dunno." He was just staring. Clara thought it was creepy. Lisa's stomach twisted. She called the school that morning, asked about loitering, security. Everything seemed normal. Still, she couldn't ignore it anymore. She opened her laptop and searched Damon's name. Nothing new. Then she did something she hadn't done in years. She picked up the phone and called an old contact from the prosecutor's office. "This is Lisa Morales," she said. "I need you to check something for me, Damon Ricks. Can you confirm he's really dead?" There was a long pause. "Why are you asking?" the voice replied. Lisa felt her heart stop. Across town, Damon sat in the car again, watching from a different angle. He could see the backyard now, the swing set, the garden, the little windmill Noah built in 2nd grade. He scribbled another note in his book. Weekends equals target time. Fewer eyes. Jason Works sat. Mornings. He circled the line 3 times. Then he closed the book and lit a cigarette with shaking hands. The wind howled low through the trees. The war inside him had begun. The wind had shifted. Lisa could feel it in her bones. Something wasn't right. The air around the house felt thicker, like the calm before a violent storm. She hadn't slept in 2 nights. Every creak in the floorboards, every dog barking in the distance, sent her nerves spiraling. The call she had made to the prosecutor's office 2 days earlier had gone unanswered. She left a 2nd voicemail, then a 3rd. Still nothing. Jason noticed the change. Lisa barely ate. She double-checked the locks twice a night. She insisted the kids sleep with their doors closed and their windows locked. Jason, patient as always, tried to be the calming force in the house. "You're safe," he said again, his arm around her on the couch. "He's gone, Lisa. You don't know that," she whispered. Jason glanced at the kids playing in the other room, then leaned closer. "Lisa, we saw the papers. He died in prison. Heart attack. You saw the report." She looked him dead in the eye. "And yet I still feel him breathing down my neck." Across town, Damon stood on the roof of an abandoned auto garage, binoculars in hand. From this angle, he could see the Morales' backyard 2 blocks away. His old home, the place he helped paint, the same fence he built with his own hands 12 years ago. But now there was a new mailbox, a new car in the driveway, new plants on the porch, and a man Jason watering flowers in Damon's yard. He clenched the binoculars hard enough to creak the plastic. In his notebook, he had written down every pattern he could find. Jason's morning gym schedule, Clara's ballet classes, Noah's tutoring on Tuesdays, Lisa's Thursday grocery run. Damon wasn't some mindless brute. He was careful, calculated. He didn't just want to see them. He wanted them to feel his presence, to know that everything they'd built without him could vanish in an instant. Friday afternoon, 4:20 p.m., Lisa was at the kitchen sink when the doorbell rang. She jumped, heart lurching. Jason opened the door. There was no one there. But on the porch sat a small cardboard box, sealed with electrical tape. Jason crouched down, inspecting it. Probably Amazon, he said. Lisa stepped forward. I didn't order anything. Jason tilted the box. No label, no return address, nothing. His expression changed. Let's not. Open it. I'll call the police. Lisa stepped backward, blood draining from her face. The police came. Officer Camden, middle-aged and kind, took the box with gloved hands and carefully opened it in the driveway. Inside were photographs. Lisa's face went pale. Photos of Clara walking out of ballet, of Noah skateboarding behind the school, of Jason pumping gas, of her walking out of the grocery store with her keys in her mouth and a receipt in her hand. Each photo had a date written in red marker on the back, all within the last 7 days. Lisa threw up in the bathroom after the officers left. Jason stood in the hallway, fists clenched, silent. What do we do? She asked, voice shaking. We go to the police again, this time, with lawyers and security. We put up cameras. We pull the kids out of school for a while. Lisa nodded slowly, but she was shaking. Then she whispered, what if he tries to take them? Jason didn't respond. That night, Clara woke up crying. I saw a man in the window, she sobbed. He was staring at me. He had a hat and a scratch on his cheek. Jason rushed outside with a flashlight. Nothing. No tracks, no sound. But the swing set was moving. Back and forth. Slowly. Damon had been there. He stood under the tree for 15 minutes that night, staring up at Clara's window. He had shaved, worn clean clothes, even put on cologne like it was some twisted form of visitation. He whispered her name under his breath. Clara, baby girl, daddy's here. Then he stepped back into the dark, leaving no trace but a quiet creaking swing behind him. The next day, Lisa called the prosecutor's office again. This time, a woman picked up. DA's office, this is Renee speaking. Lisa's voice was hoarse. This is Lisa Morales. I need confirmation. I asked 3 times already. Damon Ricks. You said he was dead. Are you sure? There was a pause. Then the woman said, hold, please. Click. Music. Lisa's hands shook as she waited. The line came back alive. The voice was quieter now. Mrs. Morales, there's been an error. Lisa stopped breathing. What kind of error? The woman hesitated. His death was never confirmed by fingerprint. The record was based on a shared inmate number. But that number was reassigned. He may have faked it. Lisa dropped the phone. Jason contacted a private security firm the next day. Cameras were installed, floodlights, motion sensors. Still, Lisa refused to let the kids go to school. They homeschooled, locked the doors, canceled all outings. It wasn't enough. At 2:17 a.m. the following night, Damon opened the back gate. The lock had been cut. He stepped into the yard and crouched near the tree where Clara's tire swing hung limp. He was holding an envelope. Inside were 2 drawings the kids had made when they were 4 and 6. Damon had kept them all these years. He placed the envelope under a rock, then walked back toward the shadows. But as he turned to leave, his foot crunched on a dry branch. A light flicked on upstairs. He froze. Lisa appeared in the window. She didn't scream. She didn't blink. Their eyes met across the yard, and for the first time in 11 years, they saw each other. Not in photos, not in dreams, but in flesh. Damon turned and ran. Lisa called 911. He was here, she said, breathless. He stood in our backyard. I saw him. The police came again, this time with a detective. Prints were taken. The photos were reviewed. A bolo was reissued under the name Damon Ricks, armed and escaped inmate. The house turned into a fortress. Jason barely left. Lisa stopped answering her phone unless it was Jason or the police. The kids knew something was wrong. They were quiet now, careful, watching the windows like tiny sentries. Meanwhile, Damon had retreated to an old shed in a forgotten park north of town. Twitch had given him access to burner phones and cash, but even Twitch was getting nervous. You said this was about seeing your kids, he said, arms crossed. It is, Damon growled. Then what the hell are you doing sneaking into their yard like a psycho? Damon didn't answer. He just sat on a crate, staring at his notebook, red circles scrawled around one word. Saturday. Saturday came fast. Lisa was in the kitchen. Jason was folding laundry. The kids were watching MOV. At 14 p.m., the power went out. Jason stood up fast. What the Lisa's heart plummeted. Then they heard it. The back door creaked. Jason ran to the kitchen, grabbed the bat by the fridge. Lisa ran to the kids and shoved them upstairs into the bathroom. Lock it. Don't open it for anyone unless it's me or Jason. The kids were crying. Lisa turned just in time to see the shape of a man enter the living room. It was Damon. Bearded, pale, eyes wild. He wasn't holding a gun, but he held something worse resolve. For a moment, time held its breath. Damon stood in the doorway like a ghost from a forgotten past. His boots dripped with mud from the backyard. His chest rose and fell in slow, heavy breaths. His eyes scanned the room like a predator entering familiar territory after years in exile. Lisa froze. "Hello, Lisa," Damon said, his voice low and rough, aged by prison years and rage. "You look alive." She didn't answer. Her brain screamed at her to run, to scream, to grab something, anything, but her feet stayed rooted to the floor. She couldn't take her eyes off the man she once shared a bed with, the man she once trusted with her children. Now, he looked like a man who had nothing left to lose. Jason emerged from the hallway, baseball bat in hand. Damon smiled. The new man. Don't take another step," Jason said, voice steady. "I just want to talk," Damon said, hands slightly raised, but not quite surrendering, "with Lisa. And my kids." "You're not seeing the kids," Jason snapped, "and you're leaving now. Before the police get here." Lisa reached behind her, blindly searching for her phone on the counter. "I wouldn't do that," Damon said quietly. "Not unless you want this to end badly." She stopped moving. "You think you can take back what you lost by showing up like this?" Jason asked. "You think scaring us, stalking us, putting our children in danger is going to win them over?" "I didn't come to win them over," Damon said. "I came to take them." Jason took a step forward. "Over my dead." Damon lunged. The two men crashed into the dining table, shattering it beneath their weight. Jason swung the bat, but Damon grabbed it midair. They wrestled violently, slamming into chairs, knocking over lamps, the entire house echoing with the sound of chaos. Lisa screamed and grabbed the nearest thing she could, a heavy glass vase, and hurled it. It hit Damon's shoulder, sending him stumbling. Jason took the chance to shove him back into the wall. "Run," Jason yelled at her. "Go get the kids." Lisa bolted. Upstairs, Clara and Noah were huddled behind the bathroom door, sobbing. Lisa banged on it. "Open up, it's me." Noah opened it, and Lisa rushed inside, pulling them both into her arms. "He's in the house," she whispered. "Daddy's here," Clara whimpered. "He looked at me through the window." "I told you." "I know, baby. I know." Lisa kissed her forehead. "We're going to get out of this." Downstairs, the struggle continued. Damon was strong, but years of prison fights and malnutrition had left him slower than he remembered. Jason, younger and more athletic, managed to overpower him, pinning him briefly. But Damon bit down hard on Jason's forearm, drawing blood. Jason screamed, loosening his grip. Damon threw a punch that sent Jason sprawling into the TV stand. Lisa heard the crash and knew they didn't have time. She grabbed the kids' backpacks, already half-packed from weeks of paranoia, and led them toward the fire escape ladder Jason had installed from Clara's room window. "Clara, go." Now, Clara hesitated, trembling, then climbed down. "Noah, go with your sister." "I'll follow." The boy nodded and slid down after her. Lisa turned back toward the hall and saw Damon at the top of the stairs. "You always had an exit strategy," he said, limping slightly. "Stay back." "I came here for them, not to kill anyone. I'm not a monster, Lisa." "Then leave them alone." "I can't. They're mine." "They were yours," she said coldly. "You gave that up when you tried to burn down a grocery store with people inside. When you joined that gang, when you picked your crew over your children." Damon's eyes flared. "You never forgave me," he muttered. Lisa raised the emergency flare gun Jason kept in the hall closet. "I don't have to forgive you." She fired. The flare caught Damon in the chest and exploded into a burst of red-hot sparks. He screamed, falling back into the bedroom wall, clutching his arm. Lisa didn't wait to see how bad it was. She jumped through the window and scrambled down the ladder. Jason was already in the car with the kids, bleeding from his forearm. Lisa jumped in and slammed the door. "Go!" Tires screeched as they pulled away. Behind them, the house burned red, with the flares light, and Damon, seething, watched them vanish into the neighborhood shadows. They drove straight to the police station. Jason was taken in for medical attention. The kids were taken to a safe room. Lisa sat in the interrogation room, giving her full statement to a detective with tired eyes and a notepad. "You're saying Damon Ricks entered your home, assaulted your husband, and attempted to abduct your children. Yes. Do you believe he intends to return?" "He will return. He's not done." The detective nodded slowly. "All right, we'll issue an emergency protection order. We'll assign a patrol unit to your block. But until we get him in cuffs, you're going into emergency relocation." Lisa blinked. "What?" "New address, new school for the kids. You'll stay in a safe house until this blows over." Lisa nodded. "Do what you have to." Meanwhile, Damon stitched his wound in a motel bathroom, biting down on a rag to muffle his groans. His shirt was burned, his shoulder blistered, his knuckles were raw. He stared at himself in the mirror. The man who looked back wasn't just angry. He was lost. He thought he'd feel something: closure, vengeance, maybe even relief. But all he felt was empty. And underneath that, something worse: shame. That night, he stood at the train tracks by Westgate. He lit one of Clara's old drawings on fire and let the wind carry the ashes away. He wasn't giving up, but he understood now this wouldn't be easy. Lisa wasn't afraid of him anymore. Jason wasn't. Soft. And the kids, they didn't even remember him. The safe house was a featureless duplex in the suburbs of Dayton, Ohio, far enough from Cleveland to keep Lisa and the kids hidden, but close enough to keep the case local. The backyard had no swing set. The fridge hummed louder than it should have, and the blinds stayed closed all day. It wasn't home, but it was safer than the alternative. Clara and Noah had stopped asking questions. Lisa was glad for that. She didn't have any good answers left. Each night, she sat by the window with a mug of cold coffee, staring at the empty street. Somewhere out there, Damon was licking his wounds and waiting. Jason came to visit twice a week, once with groceries, once with updates from the police. His stitches were healing, but he moved slower now, his arm stiff from the bite. "They still haven't found him," he said one Tuesday, voice low. "No sightings, no prints. They think he might have crossed into Indiana." Lisa didn't believe that. Damon wouldn't run. He'd circle. He'd wait for a moment of weakness, a mistake, a crack in the shield. "He's watching," she whispered. Jason looked at her. "What makes you say that?" "I don't know. I just feel it." She was right. Damon was living 2 blocks away. He'd rented a van under a fake name and parked it on the edge of a construction zone, where nobody cared if a vehicle sat for days. He slept in the back on old blankets, surviving on vending machine snacks and half-stolen sandwiches. He'd shed his old prison jumpsuit weeks ago, replacing it with Goodwill jeans and a hoodie. But what hadn't changed were his eyes. They still burned with the same goal: get them back. He watched the safe house from a distance, using binoculars when needed. He memorized Lisa's routine: when she took the trash out, when the porch light came on, what time the kids went to sleep. He saw Noah drawing dinosaurs in the window. He saw Clara sitting cross-legged on the couch, staring at the TV with her chin in her hands. He watched Jason arrive, carrying groceries like he owned the place. That stung more than the flare. They had a new life, and they were good at pretending he never existed. But Damon couldn't pretend. One night, he followed Jason after a grocery drop. He trailed the man for several blocks until Jason stopped at a gas station. Damon waited. Jason emerged with a coffee in hand. Walking toward his car, Damon stepped out of the shadows. "We need to talk." Jason jumped, nearly dropping his cup. "You son of a, what the hell are you doing?" "Relax. I'm not armed. I just need a conversation. Jason glanced around. No cops, no people. He clenched his jaw. Fine, say it quick. I'm not here to hurt Lisa. Jason scoffed. That ship sailed the second you broke into our house. I just want to see my kids. You lost that right. They're mine. They're hers, and they don't even know who you are. Clara thinks you're some nightmare. You broke into her house, Damon. You fought her stepfather. She doesn't see a dad when she looks at you. She sees a threat. Damon flinched. I did what I had to back then, he said through gritted teeth. I made mistakes, sure, but I didn't stop being their father. Jason shook his head. It's not about blood. It's about presence. You weren't there. Silence fell between them, just the faint sound of gas pumps clicking in the distance. Then Damon's tone shifted. If you were in my shoes, if someone took your family away and told you to disappear, would you just walk away? Jason stared at him. Yes. If it meant keeping them safe from a violent past, I'd vanish. Without a sound, Damon's lips tightened. You don't know what it's like to have your name erased. Jason didn't answer. He just turned, got in his car, and drove off. Later that night, Damon stood outside the safe house again. This time, he crept closer. He slid into the backyard, the damp grass quiet beneath his steps. Through the window, he saw Clara asleep on the couch, a soft cartoon flickering on the screen. Noah's toys were scattered across the floor, and Lisa, she was in the kitchen, drying dishes, her back to the window. He felt a sting in his eyes, not anger, not bitterness, just distance. He wasn't part of this world anymore, and he never would be. He reached into his pocket and pulled out something folded, a photo, creased and yellowed. It was the last picture of them as a family, taken before his arrest. Lisa smiling, Clara holding Noah, who was still in diapers. He pressed the photo against the window. Then he turned and vanished into the darkness. The next morning, Lisa found the photo stuck to the glass, sealed with condensation. She dropped it like it burned her fingers. Jason came over an hour later. He held the photo in his hands, brows furrowed. This wasn't here before, he said. He was here. Jason nodded. This ends today. He made a call. Detectives pulled traffic footage, scanned nearby ATMs, and used Jason's earlier encounter to trace Damon's movements. By noon, they had an image of a man leaving a gas station, hood pulled low. Eyes sharp, it was him. They searched surrounding areas, canvassed motels, construction sites, even hospitals. And by nightfall, they found the van. Empty, but not for long. Damon stood outside Clara's school the next morning. He knew he shouldn't be there. He knew it was dangerous, but he needed to see her one last time, not through a window, not in the dark. With the sun on her face, he waited until recess, hiding behind the tree line. When the kids poured out, laughing and yelling, he scanned the crowd. There she was, his little girl, taller than he remembered, her braids bouncing as she ran. She looked free, happy, and then she stopped. She looked toward the trees, and their eyes met. She didn't smile. She didn't wave. She turned and ran. Within minutes, the school was on lockdown. Damon was already gone. Lisa picked Clara up that evening, her face pale, her hands shaking. He was there. Clara whispered, "He watched us play. I saw him." Lisa clutched her daughter to her chest, her own body trembling. This wasn't over. It was getting worse. The sighting at Clara's school lit a fire under law enforcement. FBI agents were brought in. Plainclothes officers began trailing Lisa and the kids, blending into the background at the grocery store, at church, even in the school parking lot. Jason's home was placed under surveillance. The city had turned into a quiet war zone, and Damon was the ghost they couldn't catch. Lisa tried to keep things normal, but the strain was showing. Clara wet the bed twice that week, something she hadn't done in years. Noah started biting his nails down to the skin. Lisa slept in bursts, jolting awake at every creak in the floor. The past wasn't staying in the past. It was scratching at the door, begging to be let in. Miles away, Damon was planning. His obsession had changed shape. He wasn't just trying to see them anymore, he wanted them back. Not all of them, not Lisa. Not anymore. She'd chosen her new life. She'd chosen Jason. But the kids, they were still his, still innocent, still savable. In Damon's twisted logic, they needed rescuing. He spent hours drawing routes on napkins, mapping out rural roads, old bus stations, abandoned cabins upstate where no one would look. He'd stolen a new car, a silver Dodge Caravan with dark-tinted windows, and packed it with water, canned food, and coloring books. He'd even bought booster seats. He wasn't just planning a kidnapping. He was planning to be a father again. The opportunity came on a Friday. Clara had an early dismissal from school, and Lisa had to run a quick errand before picking her up. For 20 minutes, Clara would be waiting at the school entrance, just beyond the security cameras but still inside the fence. Damon had watched the routine 3 times. Same timing, same guard rotation. He waited near the school in the Caravan, engine idling, breathing through his teeth. When the bell rang, Clara walked out exactly as expected, backpack slung over one shoulder. Clutching a folder of drawings, she looked older, sharper, but vulnerable. Damon's heart raced. He got out of the van. He didn't approach directly. Instead, he sent someone else. A woman, maybe mid-50s, wearing a red parka and glasses. She was paid in cash and told to say one thing: "Your mom sent me. She's stuck in traffic and asked me to pick you up." Clara hesitated. "See?" the woman said, pointing to the Caravan. "She said to tell you it's the silver van." Clara's eyes darted toward the van. And that's when she saw him, Damon, sitting in the driver's seat, watching. Her blood ran cold. "No," she whispered. She dropped her folder and ran. A teacher nearby saw her panic and rushed over. Within minutes, the school was on lockdown again. The woman in the red parka disappeared into the crowd, melting away. Damon hit the gas and sped off, tires screeching. He didn't go far, just to the edge of the next town, where he abandoned the van in a parking lot behind a shuttered bowling alley. He wiped it down for prints and vanished into the woods. The next day, Clara gave her statement to the police. She described the woman, the van, and most importantly, him. "He looked like he was waiting for me to walk closer," she said. Like he was proud of himself. Lisa sat beside her daughter, speechless, hand gripping Clara's so tight it hurt. Jason was pacing the room, fists clenched. "They won't stop until he's caught," the detective assured them. But Lisa didn't believe that. She knew Damon. His rage wasn't fire. It was ice. Cold. Patient. Calculated. This was far from over. Damon hadn't expected the plan to fail. He hadn't planned for her to recognize him from that far, or to react so quickly. His hands shook as he unwrapped a gas station sandwich later that night in the woods, but he forced himself to eat. He couldn't afford weakness now. Clara wasn't stupid. She was her mother's daughter, sharp, cautious, brave. But Noah was still soft, still trusting. And Damon knew where he went every Sunday: the church on Lincoln Avenue, the one with the playground in the back and no fence around it, no cameras either. The next Sunday, Damon made his move. It was cold and bright, the kind of morning where breath clouds in the air and car doors freeze shut. Jason and Lisa sat inside the chapel, trying to focus on the sermon, while Noah played with a group of kids outside under the eye of a distracted youth counselor. Damon walked across the playground, like he belonged there. He crouched near the slide. "Noah," he whispered. The boy turned. He hesitated for a second, squinting. Then he smiled. "Hey," Damon said, kneeling. "It's me. Your dad." Noah blinked. "You remember me, right? I showed you the dinosaur picture through the window." Noah's eyes lit up. "You had a T-Rex, that's right." He held out his hand. "Want to go for a ride? I got more dinosaurs to show you." Noah looked back at the church, unsure. Damon pressed gently. "Just for a little while. Then we'll come right back." Noah stepped forward. The counselor turned at the last moment. "Hey, where are you going?" Damon froze, then bolted. The counselor gave chase, but stumbled on the icy grass. Damon disappeared into a row of hedges, Noah still in his arms. He reached the stolen van waiting nearby and threw the boy inside. Slammed the door, peeled off down the road. Noah screamed, kicked, bit his hand. Damon didn't care. "You'll thank me later," he muttered. An Amber Alert went out within 30 minutes. Roadblocks were set. Police helicopters circled. Every news channel blared Noah's name and description. Lisa collapsed when she heard. Jason held her up as she screamed into the kitchen tiles, eyes bloodshot, hands trembling. "I told you," she shrieked. "I told you this would happen." But Damon didn't get far. A delivery driver spotted the van 2 hours later, parked in front of an abandoned farmhouse 15 miles outside the city. Police swarmed the area. Inside, they found Noah cold, scared, but unharmed, sitting on the floor with a blanket and a juice box. No sign of Damon. But they found fresh footprints in the mud, leading into the woods. The manhunt was back on. The forest surrounding the farmhouse was old and dense, with thick pines towering above like sentinels. It was late afternoon, and the last light of the sun bled through the canopy. In streaks of amber and gold, the cold air bit through jackets, and the fallen leaves muffled every footstep. Damon was out there, wounded, cold, desperate, and he was running out of places to hide. After Noah's rescue, the entire county went on high alert. State police, FBI trackers, canine units, and helicopters all joined in. The search perimeter expanded by the hour. His abandoned clothes were found near a stream, soaked in blood. He'd cut his leg on barbed wire, badly enough to leave a trail. But even injured, Damon was dangerous. He knew the woods better than most, having worked tree-clearing crews before prison. He could vanish into the wilderness like smoke through fingers. Lisa, meanwhile, refused to speak to reporters. She stayed holed up inside her home, holding Noah and Clara close, barely eating, barely sleeping. Every creak of the floor made her jolt. Every car engine outside made her heart pound. Jason tried to comfort her, but nothing helped. "This isn't over," she kept saying. "He's not done. Not until someone stops him." The manhunt stretched into the night. Dogs barked in the distance. Drones buzzed overhead. Officers scanned the terrain with thermal scopes, but freezing temperatures made readings unreliable. Then, just before dawn, a trooper stumbled upon a makeshift shelter, sticks lashed together under a tarp, hidden in a ravine. Inside were food wrappers, a hunting knife, and a piece of paper with a hand-drawn map. Red lines circled an area 2 miles away. That area, Lisa and Jason's neighborhood. Damon was circling back. They immediately put the family in protective custody. Police cars lined the block. SWAT officers moved into nearby houses. Disguising themselves as neighbors, Lisa and the kids were relocated to an undisclosed hotel, guarded 24/7. But Damon never showed. For 2 more days, nothing happened. No sightings, no signals. Then, on the 4th night, a neighbor reported movement in the crawlspace beneath the Sanders' old property just 2 blocks from Lisa's house. Officers responded quietly. They found him curled in a ball, shivering, blood caked on his leg and arms, holding a half-eaten protein bar and muttering Clara's name under his breath. He didn't fight. When they dragged him out, he looked more animal than man, his eyes wild, his beard matted, his lips cracked from dehydration. His voice was almost gone. "She's not safe with him," he croaked. "You don't understand. I had to fix it." They read him his rights as he wept. Damon Holloway's run was over. The arrest made national headlines. Networks ran split-screen footage, Damon's mugshot beside family portraits of Lisa, Jason, Clara, and Noah. Talk shows debated what could drive a man to such obsession. Some tried to paint Damon as mentally ill. Others called him evil. But Lisa didn't care what the world thought. She just wanted her kids to heal. The trial began 6 months later. It was one of the most high-profile cases the state had ever seen. Damon faced multiple charges: kidnapping, attempted abduction, assault on a minor, parole violation, and felony escape. He had no lawyer. He fired the public defender and insisted on representing himself, further proving the depths of his delusion. Lisa was called to testify. She wore a navy blazer, no makeup, her voice steady as steel. "He was charming when we met," she said. "But behind closed doors, he was controlling, violent. I stayed because I thought I could fix him. I had kids with him because I thought that would soften him. I was wrong." She described the abuse, the night he broke her arm, the fear that made her flee. Then she spoke about the day he took Noah. I thought I'd lost my son, not just to a kidnapper but to a ghost from the past. And I hate that a part of me will always carry that fear, Clara testified to. She was 12 now, braver, sharper. He scared me, she said. He looked at me like I was a possession, not a person. Damon stared at her from the defense table. He didn't flinch, didn't blink. When his turn to speak came, he stood and addressed the courtroom in a raspy voice. I'm not sorry, he said. They were mine. You people don't understand. That man, he pointed toward Jason, stole my life, my family. I had to remind them who I was. The judge ordered the jury to disregard his rant. It took them only 3 hours to return a verdict. Guilty on all counts. Sentencing was swift. Damon Holloway received for consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole. He didn't react. He didn't cry as they led him away in shackles. He turned back once, just once, and looked at Lisa. She didn't look away. Not this time. In the aftermath, life for the Holloways, yes. Lisa and Jason had taken the same last name, slowly returned to normal. Clara started therapy and took up fencing, saying she liked learning how to defend herself. Noah stopped biting his nails and started drawing again. His sketches were full of castles and brave knights and mothers with capes. Lisa and Jason held a quiet vow renewal in their backyard. Just the 4 of them and a local pastor. No guests, no cameras, no speeches, just a promise. Never again. In the prison infirmary, Damon scribbled into a journal every night. He still wrote to Clara, still believed that one day she'd read his words and understand, but she never answered. She never would. His letters were kept in a box labeled evidence, locked away in a cabinet no one touched. The end.